Well, hello everyone, and happy Friday the 13th. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We have got a little bit of a series going on with this new Edgar Allan Poe deck. I am really enjoying it, and I wanted to share with you some insights about Edgar Allan Poe before your reading. Now, if you're like, I don't give a shit about Edgar Allan Poe, just fast forward to the intro part. I do have timestamps, but I found Edgar Allan Poe really interesting. I had not known much about him. I had no knowledge of him. Edgar Allan Poe's guidebook says, "Welcome to the mysterious and macabre world of Edgar Allan Poe, where all that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream." Now, Edgar was born in 1809. He was a master storyteller, and Poe can be associated with tarot, as through both the tarot and fiction, we learn more about who we are and what we can become. Tarot reveals our shadow sides, or the hidden realms within us, or the places we need to embrace and shine more light on, bringing up what's buried in our subconscious. So for Friday the 13th, I wanted to transmute the energies of what we normally would consider a scary, fearful, or darker holiday into an opportunity to address our fears hidden deep inside and release them, no longer keeping us bound or in this self-imposed prison. And we do that with our beliefs, our mindsets, with certain people, relationships, situations. And these things need light. They need clarification and allowing us to transmute these energies that keep us stuck, that keep us from growing, that keep us from raising our vibration. Now, Edgar Allan Poe saw a lot of death in his life. He lost his mother to tuberculosis. He lost his foster mother to tuberculosis, and eventually his wife Virginia. He also himself was born in 1809 and only lived to be 40 years old. And through the darkness and the grotesque of what he saw during his life and the challenges, the pain and the suffering that he went through, he learned for that darkness to be his muse, for him to create through the pain. You know, a lot of the best songs ever written were written by artists who were in a low, painful spot in their lives, and Edgar Allan Poe did that. He became creative within the dark energy. What I found interesting is that his mother actually died of TB in Richmond, Virginia. So as we look at Poe and his life, you know, he did not live to be very old. I mean, 40s was pretty old when you're in the times of tuberculosis, which they called Red Death, because basically you ended up coughing up blood and choking to death, which is horrible. But before we go on, why are Fridays that fall on a month's 13th day so fearful? Let's tie it into Edgar Allan Poe. You know, we know Friday the 13th is Jason, Freddy Krueger, It, The Blob, aliens, you know, anything that scares the bejesus out of us. Now, Edgar Poe saw so much of it that he embraced it. So, but did you ever wonder where the superstition this dates come from and the mysticism that surrounds it? The unsettling power of the numerals were cemented through Christianity with the story of Jesus' Last Supper and the crucifixion, in which there were 13 individuals present in the upper room on the 13th of Nisan, Monday, which is a Thursday, the night before Jesus' death on Good Friday. So in Christianity, it went down as, you know, that isn't such a lucky day. In Norse or in Viking myth, they follow a very similar version of the Christian version, believing that 13 is an unlucky number because 12 gods or 12 lords in the Viking time were having a dinner party in Valhalla, you know, the afterlife, and the trickster, the god Loki, who was not invited to this party, this dinner, arrived as the 13th guest, and he was only there because he had arranged the assassination of their leader Balder with a mistletoe-tipped arrow. So the Vikings had a very similar superstition about Friday the 13th, but it kind of came from a little bit of a different aspect. Now we got the myth that links Friday the 13th with the fall of the legendary warriors known as the Knights Templar. On a fateful Friday, more than 600 Templars were arrested, brutally tortured, getting confessions from many of their dark activities. Darkness cannot exist in light. So all these perceived bad luck events that we label dark or unlucky, yes, horrible, difficult times. But the one thing that all these things have in common is that they ushered in change. One way or the other, there was transformation and change, and sometimes transformation is ugly. Sometimes it's pain, sometimes it's suffering. Like Edgar Allan Poe saw, sometimes it was tuberculosis and having your family members die. So during this dark time, instead of labeling something as dark or light, as an energetic being, we're learning to transmute the darkness, transmute and create through those times of darkness. And instead of focusing on the horrible aspects, focus on what comes next. It's always darkest before the dawn. And the meaning of my readings is for us to get past the darkness. If we give hate, fear, energy to the dark things around us, then we're only adding to that, okay? So instead of even looking at Friday the 13th as something dark, let's look at it as an opportunity to transform some of our own fears. And we'll see you at your reading. Thanks for hanging out with me. All right, all you Libras out there, we are going to do something special for you. I've changed up the intro. We're talking more about the history of Friday the 13th, as you just heard. And so I figured, what the heck, let's pick a different spread out of the Edgar Allan Poe series. So I think for you, Libra, we're going to do the oval portrait spread. It is 7 cards, 6 in the shape of an oval with 1 in the center. Now, these 6 cards placed in this oval clarify the fears and unknowns that hold you back from growing into your authentic self. And the 7th card in the middle symbolizes the energy you need to embody or embrace in order to become the strongest and most successful version of you. So this was kind of interesting. I figured, let's dig in, change up the 4 chambers of the heart, and we're listening to dark Victorian dining academia music by Elemental Soundworks. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. It really goes well with the Edgar Allan Poe series. So card number 1 is the path that you have taken. This is the path that you are currently on, that you have chose for yourself. And we've got the King of Pentacles. The first card out is always the biggest energy. So I'd say that's a pretty good card to start with. This is Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo energy. Now, this is depicted by Divine Masculine. He's standing in front of his castle. He's got an eagle on his arm. Now, this is an energy, not gender, so reverse the roles how they fit for you. But the path this character is taken is that he is reliable. He may be an entrepreneur. He's tenacious and never gives up, and your hard work has paid off. You are no longer suffering the hardships of your past. But oddly enough, another way to look at this is that this King of Pentacles could be dangerously obsessed with bringing their vision into reality. Now, we can applaud his dedication and his passion, but our dark side teeters on that obsession, where we go just over the edge a little bit, where we're a little out of control and it's kind of controlling us. And that's how we weigh and we balance out not just addictions in our lives, but all aspects of our lives. We have to make sure that we remain in balance. So this King of Pentacles is got it going on, but he is dangerously close. You can kind of see with everything he's accumulated that he gets obsessed about what it is he wants to create, what he wants to manifest, what he wants to accomplish next. So that obsession is kind of a twisted, double-sided, double-edged sword that you kind of have to monitor. Just digging right in here, Libra. For you, of course, you're going to start your reading off like this. Now, card number 2 in this oval spread is the choices influencing your path. Now, we've got a major arcana, and this is the Hermit in the reverse, Virgo energy. So this could be an energy that someone has a lot of Virgo actually in them, or about a Virgo specifically. But the Hermit is normally a character that goes and, just spends time by themselves. They shut all the world down. They actually focus on just what's important to them. It may be researching, it may be healing. It typically is, though, a time of separation and loneliness. So this is a divine masculine depicted on the card, and they've chosen a time of withdrawal, of self-reflection, and a time of deeply searching their soul. And this is what is influencing their path, is that they took the time to actually go within. Now, the stars in the evening sky symbolize spiritual growth and self-discovery. So he has intentionally exiled himself, knowing that this period of contemplation will help kind of tease out his next steps. This is a strategist. This is my Gerard Butler character archetype, making an appearance again like he does in so many of my readings. If you haven't seen the movie Law Abiding Citizen, go check that out with Gerard Butler. You will see what I'm talking about. This is the mastermind. This is the one that sits quietly in the back of the room. You think he's innocent, but really he's out there planning 10 steps what anybody else is doing out in the world. The insights and clarity he gains during this time of kind of isolation and hermit mode guides him forward, and that is what is now influencing his choices. Maybe in the past his choices were more about going after something. It was the passion, it was the desire, it was the accumulation of I want that, but he's gotten now very intentional with what it is he's trying to do, what it is he wants to manifest, which I find this very kind of interesting. Card number 3 is your fears. Now, Libra, I don't know if this is you or this is talk about somebody in your energy. Energy is fluid. It's ever changing. So when you come across this reading, it's meant for you, but listen to everything with an open mind and see not necessarily what the ending is, but what spiritual principles you can gain out of these messages. So the energy of fear is here in card number 3, and it is, I've got the Ace of Swords. Now, the aces are all about truth. It's manifesting something in the physical. It's bringing something into your 3D reality. So the fear right off the bat, you see what's the fear, and we've got truth. And so we look at this card, and the raven symbolizes mental clarity. It's logical thought and the higher dimensions of your mind. Swords are communication and our thoughts. So Libra, your fear may be communicating your truth after of being in a time of hermit mode. After a time of isolation, you're kind of coming out of the cave and you have this whole new mentality when you've had all these downloads and you've learned all these things, and now you're like, oh, it's time to integrate. So you come out of that time of isolation, but it's a little scary because you don't quite trust yourself. You're like, do I really know what I'm doing here? So this character, I'm just really thinking that they may have a lot of Virgo in their chart, or like I said, someone around you. But very powerful coming up, kind of like saying that this King of Pentacles is also the Hermit. This isn't bringing in another character. This is still all about one character and their path. How they're growing and how they're stepping into their authentic self. I love it. I think this is great. So this is saying that, card number 3, your fears are the key to healing and bringing mental clarity. When a fear pops up, it's like, putting a billboard sign on it. It's going ding, 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 ding. This is a good place for you to start addressing to get past these fears, because fears are an energetic blockage, and we cannot raise up higher in frequency, nor can we manifest things if we have energetic blockages low in our chakra system. So the first chakra is the root chakra, and that's our survival chakra. That's roof of our head, food, fight or flight, keeping ourselves alive, keeping ourselves safe. Most of us have been convinced and had our attention drawn to constantly live in that state of fear, intentionally, so that we don't rise in our energy, we don't rise in our chakra system. So when we're looking at fears in this Edgar Allan Poe series, and why I did these Friday the 13th series in general, is because I think we've been missing a big part of transmuting the darkness. If you put hate towards anything that you would consider dark or ugly or the opposite or the other side side, then you are feeding that energy. So watching the news and saying, oh, look at that country's bombing somebody, and you send that country hate, you're feeding into that hate. Your energy, your emotions, and your feelings are an energetic frequency. And I think in the spiritual world, we talk so much about these other things and how to redirect our energy, but we really kind of let this, okay, you could put all your hate on the darkness, and I disagree with that. I believe that that is part of our problem, that we need to transmute those fears, and we need to transmute the darkness within us and then spread that out. And you don't do that by sending out hate. You don't do that by living in a state of fear. So card number 4, Libra, this is what's keeping you in bondage, what's held you back from speaking your truth. And we have the 7 of Swords. Now this is depicted by a divine masculine gentleman. He's sitting in front of a chessboard. So again, we go back to the strategizer, the Gerard Butler archetype. You know, we can see him strategizing, and the 7 of Swords actually represents the runner in a twin flame connection. So I may have to label this something to do with twin flames, but let's keep going and see how it pans out. Like I said, it can represent the twin flame energetic connection. So he's tossed his swords aside. So he's disregarded communication, because swords are communication. He's like, nope, I'm not talking. I'm not speaking my truth. Possibly when they had the chance. And unfortunately, he did intentionally cast aside communication. And I see that strategically. Like his choice not to communicate, it was deeply thought about. And I think that this character felt that at the time, the best thing that he could do was to go silent. Whether it was malevolent or benevolent, that is not for me to decide in this story, in this tale told by the tarot. But we can see that this is what's kept him in bondage. The fact that he stopped communicating, that his defense mechanism when something may have gotten difficult was to just shut off and not communicate. And that comes from being in a state of trauma, you know, where you can't handle anymore. You're not even going to approach that. So we miss out on good things in our life, though, if we're not healed and we're not able to, work through small details. So it's, run and duck. That is the runner in the twin flame connection. That's what they do. They get put on the hot seat. They, energetically connect with somebody. They have all these feelings and emotions come out, these obsessive thoughts about somebody they just met. They don't understand it. So when the divine feminine puts a little pressure on them, they go, oh, screw this. I'm outie. Like, I'm not changing for anybody. I'm not listening to anybody. I'm not falling in love. Screw this. That takes a back burner, and it's easier for them to stop all communication than it is for them to experience actually what it is, they're being offered, what lesson. So moving on, I had to dig in a little bit and say, communicate what to who, truth in regards to what. We still don't know what this actually is. We just see the process of the character going kind of through what's happened, and this move by the divine masculine is what has kept him in bondage, and admitting to himself he was playing games, with someone else, strategizing. That's kind of a dark side of us that we need to take a look at, where that's possession, that's controlling, that's, the darker sides of obsession, that's the Christian gray. And I think we all have a little twisted side of that when we have these energetic imbalances where we've been hurt and traumatized, and we just, we create these mechanisms in order for us to survive. And I really think that's what we're seeing here. But communicate to who? Truth about what? He's strategizing because, and I've got a King of Swords, a second king, and the 3 of Cups. So he wanted to be truthful, but what I see here, he wanted, to step into the King of Swords energy and speak his truth. But the 3 of Cups depicts multiple energies, multiple people. Gender doesn't matter, reverse them as you see fit. But these are 3 individuals at a party. And I think what this divine masculine wants to communicate is that there was other influences over his decision not to communicate and tell someone the truth, not to speak his his truth. It could be a group of friends. It could be a group of peers. It could be family members. It could be a parent. It's represented by 3 separate karmic energies, though. That's what I see here. 3 energies, and he listened to them, and this keeps him in bondage and what has him essentially trapped. Libra. I mean, what the heck? We are going down the rabbit hole on this. Let's look at card number 5. Let's keep going. Before we do that, I just want to make a side note. Is notice that this king has come up twice now in the upright. And although it looks like he's kind of putting blame on a situation, this could be maybe even blaming himself for listening to the advice of these other individuals, not being in an emotionally mature state where they were trustworthy with what their heart was telling them, or they were trustworthy with their intuition. When we have so much healing to do and we have so many wounds, we're so detached from that source light, and that source light is our higher self. It is our intuition. So we can't place these big expectations or be too hard on ourselves when we don't handle things in a certain way, because we can only be responsible for what level of consciousness we were at during that period of time. So instead of facing a situation and being truthful, he ran at the bad advice of others close to him. Who hasn't done that? We have all done that. Yes, it's a rookie mistake, but this is how you learn. You learn through your mistakes. You learn through your lessons. All right, having fun with this one. Card number 5 is the unknown, the potential fate. So this is one potential timeline. We all have free will as a sovereign spiritual being. So what we're tapping in here to the strongest energy that I'm coming across, and it is a potential. It is not a prediction. And we've got the King of Wands in the reverse. So this is saying the potential fate of this situation, the unknown that maybe has been a blind spot. The King of Wands in the reverse is fire energy. It's Aries, Leo, Sag. This is the 3rd king out, but he is in the reverse. So this King of Wands in the reverse is the unknown, the potential fate, or something that is in between, or something that is or could have an influence on this King of Pentacles. Now, this is a king in the reverse, so let me tell you what the King of Wands is in reverse. He's not the passionate, outgoing, desirable, wonderful kind of guy. He's bossy, aggressive, arrogant. He may micromanage. This is also could be about impulsivity, impatience, or explosive emotions. So I kind of looked at this and I was like, do we have another person here that is the unknown potential or fate? Or is this just an energy about being impulsive, taking the lower energy parts of the King of Wands in the reverse? And I clarified it with an 8 of Swords in the reverse. And the 8 of Swords is about communication. It's about sweet release. It's about freedom. So that doesn't make sense that this is another character. So what the unknown potential fate is in card number 5 is that I believe this person there's no way to know what's going to happen when he goes and he does whatever it is he has set out to do. Whatever had caused him to be out of communication with somebody, to not speak their truth. I think expressing himself about the situation is going to bring a release. It's gonna bring freedom, but I do see a little bit of concern with him that maybe he won't be able to control his emotions. And I don't think he wants to do that either. I think he wants to go in there and, keep his shit together. But, he's kind of a little impatient and kind of doesn't want to be too impulsive. So you see him balancing more or less what this tells me is his presentation. The fate lies and the unknown is in when he speaks his truth and he presents himself, how it's going to be taken. So when we look at it this way, we don't just have a king once or twice over. We have 3 kings. One more king, and this is emperor status. Even if a king is in reverse, it's just showing kind of the side of them that they may need to work on, like being impulsive or being impatient. Card number 6 is how this king 3 times over sees himself, how he looks down and sees himself at this moment. My guess is that if he comes forward and he speaks his truth, that this may be the test to becoming an emperor, to sliding into that last king position. The universe makes us work for our spiritual level ups, and I clarified that with card number 20, the judgment card in the reverse, and we're going to take a good look at this card. So on this card we see a whirlpool with 2 people across from each other, with this whirlpool, or what I like to think of as this portal, separating the 2 of them. And I believe that there was an opportunity to make things right. There was an opportunity to close the gap between these 2 people, between possibly these 2 situations. So with the judgment card in the reverse, he's kind of seeing himself as a coward, and he regrets the choice he made to listen to others. So he's kind of kicking himself in the ass a little bit because, he took bad advice. Instead of making a decision for himself, instead of listening to what his heart was telling him, what his intuition was telling him, he made a rookie mistake and he listened to the advice of others, and we all go through that. But this does show that that was a sign of emotional immaturity. It pointed out that he had a place where he needed to grow. That's what these lessons do for us. So, he sees himself kind of having doubts, some regret, and some guilt that have kept him in bondage. The fact that he didn't communicate has kept him in bondage. And overall, I think this situation, he was in a very uncomfortable position, kind of hiding behind this mask of knowing truly what happened here. But it looks like, he may have taken a while to recognize it for himself, to get past those fears that are blocking our movement. We first have to identify them, and we have to look at what we experienced and what lesson we can take out of it. So card number 7 is how to become the image of yourself you've always dreamed of, Libra. All right, so we've got the 3 of Wands in the reverse. This is fire element. This is passion. Again, we see the portal, the whirlpool, with 2 ships across from each other, unable to get to each other in this storm. This portal is an opportunity to jump timelines, to enter a new reality, to create a new beginning. And that's how Libra become the image of yourself you've always dreamed of. You step into that portal to be your authentic self, Libra, to become that last king that enables you to step into the emperor mode, to become the archetype of the emperor. The universe is saying for you to step into your truth, to stop delaying, stop playing it small, step into the portal and end the adversity, begin a new timeline. You do this by releasing yourself from the bondage of the past, of what you perceived as missteps or mistakes or failures. Leave them on the other side of the portal. Your dream is on the way. All you have to do is walk through that portal and accept the gift from the universe that you have worked so hard for. It's right there. If you guys enjoyed this reading, smash that like button, subscribe so you can get notifications about my next messages that are coming up for you. We do appreciate you so much contributing by liking, sharing, and subscribing. That helps us content creators grow our channels, and we sincerely appreciate that. We'll see you at your next reading, Libra. Peace.